All right, so I'm going to continue on from where I left off, just so we're not getting behind. So remember I was talking about the queen and how the queen gets formed. A female egg gets chosen by the workers. They feed her a really high protein diet, and then her ovaries get activated, and she starts growing that really long, large body. And then we looked at some pictures. So you can notice her body is a lot longer. And then this green marking, students are like, oh, she comes out with a green marking. No, this is the person who sold this queen to this beekeeper actually marked her so that when we go out and do hive inspections, it's easy to find her. I will not have any marked queens for us though. And then we looked at this one. There she is in the middle. This one is an unmarked queen. So this is what we're going to be looking for. Ours are like this golden color. So we'll be looking for that when we go out. So when a queen, so let's say a hive does raise its own queen, in the first 2 weeks of her life, she will leave the hive. It'll be the only time she leaves the hive. And she'll go on what's called a mating flight. And so drones around the area, the males, she will spend a couple of days and she will mate with 1 to 40 drones a day. So she's a very busy lady. This picture, as inappropriate as it looks, they actually will mate in the air while they're flying, which is kind of cool. When she is done with her mating flight, she'll come back to the hive and she'll actually will never leave again. Unless she orchestrates the hive to swarm, which means they've gotten too crowded and they will leave and they'll find a new home. So she is going to hold on to the sperm that she gets from her mating flight. If she lays a fertilized egg, it will become a worker female. If she lays an unfertilized egg, it'll become a male. And another little interesting tidbit. Here she is right here. The drone is behind her. They will mate, and after their mating, he will become disemboweled and he will fall to his death. The queen will produce pheromones that suppresses the ovaries of the workers. If a worker does lay an egg, they actually are only able to lay drone eggs because they don't mate ever. So if you see a large number of drone cells, which I'll show you guys, your workers are laying, your queen's not doing her job. You got to kill her and get a new queen. When we go out, what you'll notice on the brood frame, so this is uncapped brood, they haven't been capped yet. You notice where my cursor is, this one's flat, and this one is protruding. Anytime you see a protruding cell, that's a drone that's in there because they're a little bit bigger. The queen's job is to stimulate foraging. She directs the building of the hive. She coordinates swarms. Remember, I just said a swarm was when it gets too crowded and they need to leave and find a new home. And she calms the hive. So that's why if there is no queen in the hive and I open it up and I hear like a really high-pitched panic noise, I know that it's possible that she is no longer there. The worker's job is to regulate hive temperature. They build, clean, maintain, and defend the hive. They forage and gather food, and they care for the queen and the brood. And so it takes 21 days from when an egg is laid to where they are hatching as an adult. And their lifespan is 6 weeks during peak foraging times, which is spring and summer, and then a few months during the winter because they're actually just staying in the hive during the winter. And I think we already went over these jobs, but I'll just like really quickly go back over them again. First 2 days of their life, they're the cleaners, housekeepers. Day 3 to 11, they're the nurses. Day 6 to 11, oh, they're advanced nurses. 12 to 17, they're the builders. So they build and repair the hive. What you notice right here in this picture, this is wax that is being produced and secreted from the bee's body. So that's kind of cool. Days 17 to 20, they're guards. It's kind of cool to watch the entrance of a hive, especially if something like a hornet or a wasp tries to come in. You will see fighting, or if bees from other hives try to come in, there will be brawls on the front. It's kind of fun to watch sometimes. Then days 22 on, they become foragers. They can travel up to 4.5 or 5 miles for food. And they'll collect water and solid food, and they communicate with each other. So foragers will tell other foragers where the food is. The workers can sting. When workers sting other insects, they don't die. But when they sting mammals, they do die. And so if you ever got stung, you don't want to squeeze it to try to get the stinger out. You want to use a credit card and scrape it. And that's how you can get the stinger out. Every time I've gotten stung, my first instinct is to pinch it and pull it out. And to this day, I still do that, even though it makes it worse. I can't seem to get over that, just that initial instinct to go ahead and do that. And I don't think before doing it, but you're supposed to scrape it with a credit card. If you get stung, the reaction can range from mild pain and redness to swelling and itching to anaphylactic shock. So we, obviously at this point in time, a student or an adult, or if you're a student and an adult, you would know if you have an allergy to stings. But I always like to be careful, and I'll bring an EpiPen out with us just in case. If you get stung, we would treat it with ice, Benadryl and hydrocortisone cream, oral Benadryl, and last resort, an EpiPen shot. I've never had to use an EpiPen before, but just so you know. Just a little brief overview of the hive life cycle. So in the winter, the colony is going to cluster together for heat. They kill the drones off, so it's an all-female hive, and they're basically just in survival mode where they just hang out in this hive right here, and they just eat the honey that they stored over the spring, summer, and fall. In the late winter, drone eggs will be laid. They increase food consumption. In late winter, which is February, is when you will see your hives starve to death. And so beekeepers will just ignore their hives all winter. Some beekeepers, bad beekeepers, they'll ignore their hives all winter, and then they'll go like, oh, I wonder what my bees are doing in March. And they'll lift up the lid and they'll see all dead bees, but they'll all be head first in the cell. This is how you know they've starved to death, is because they literally died trying to get as much honey out of the honeycomb as possible. So very sad. I've never had that happen because I'm not a bad beekeeper, but it does happen to some people. I think they just get busy or they just aren't educated on it. In the early spring, yay, nectar is available. This is where we are right now. Growth increases, more eggs are laid, and food is being brought in. So this is a very exciting time for our hives and for beekeepers. In the mid-spring, which is April, May, queen cells will be built, and I have to do things to prevent swarms. So I have to make sure they're not overcrowded. I'll have to do these things called splits, where so if they're overcrowded, I take bees out. Sometimes I'll sell them. I've sold some of my frames to a guy who lives in Alamo Heights. Or I'll give them away. I'll give them away to my dad. He's a beekeeper also. And so if you take frames out and put empty frames in, they think that their population has been reduced. And then sometimes I'll turn the hive so it's facing a different direction so that they think, I don't even know if this works, but I did it last year and it actually worked. I turned the hive to face a different direction so they think that they've like gone somewhere new. So I trick them. And if a hive is about to swarm, the scouts are going to find a new home, then come back and communicate, hey, we found a new home, and then they'll leave. And so if you've ever seen the posts on social media of all the bees that are like on a car and just stuck on a car, that's usually they're in the middle of a swarm. So they'll leave the hive and they'll go sit somewhere. They're very calm, very docile. If you ever see a swarm like on a car or something, that's actually the time where they are least likely to sting you, even though it's very intimidating and scary. And then they'll find their new home. They'll go to the new home that was found. In the summer is when the hive continues to be built and they start storing honey. They will need 100 pounds of food to get them through the winter. And so anything extra, we are able to take off and bottle and eat ourselves. They will always produce extra honey. And so I'll show you guys next time I see you, if you haven't gone out to the hives already, what it looks like to put a hive box. It's called a honey super. to put that on top, and then you take it off in July, and that's where you can get your honey. Something really interesting about bees is the way they communicate with each other. And so they can communicate with pheromones, but they can also communicate with dancing. They call them dances. So if a forager finds nectar nearby, it will return full of nectar. It will then spend 30 to 45 seconds regurgitating and distributing the nectar to the hive. And that way they can pick up the scent of it, and then it encourages an audience, and it does 2 types of dances. Okay, so 2 types of dances. The round dance is done if food is within 100 meters. They will just run in circles, change direction, run in a circle, change direction, run in a circle. And they'll be covered in the scent of the flower, so the other bees will know where the flower is. And so I have a video, I hope it shows. Hello. Hey, it's showing. Hopefully everyone can see that on YouTube. I guess the internet's kind of slow. There it is. This is just a video showing you a bee doing a round dance. And when we go out and we look at the hives, we might actually be able to see them doing it too. All right, you see those 2 and that one right there? That one is like, hey guys, I found food. Yes. Take a whiff, smell it, and then come with me. Let's go find some more. Basically what they're telling them. That's this one right here. All right. So that is the round dance. No, pause. Okay, I've got to figure out how to get my screen back. Here we go. All right. The second type of dance is called the waggle dance. This one's a little bit more complicated because food is greater than 100 meters away from the hive. And so what they're doing is they're completing a circle 8 pattern. And what they are doing, they do it in a very particular way. So the angle that they're facing when they do the dance will basically show where the flowers are in reference to the sun. So they will do an angle. If it's in like a 45-degree angle, it basically tells the other bees where, like in reference to the sun, the flowers are. And then the frequency of them turning their body tells them exactly how far away. So let's watch a video of that. Come on. There we go. That's called a waggle dance, by the way.
Honeybees have some fascinating abilities, among them being able to communicate by performing a unique dance. It informs hive mates where a newly discovered food source is located. Every cycle of this waggle dance roughly describes the shape of the figure 8. Let's rewind and look in more detail. The bee only waggles on a part of its route, the straight run, indicated here by the waved line. The secret lies in the direction of the straight run, or to be more precise, in the angle between the straight run and the perpendicular, which in this case is 90 degrees to the left. This tells the other bees that food is available 90 degrees to the left of the sun. If the angle is 60 degrees to the right, they'll be flying 60 degrees to the right of the sun.
That is cool. Yeah, that is so cool. All right. So that's how they communicate through dancing, and he explained that really well, so I don't really need to go over all of these slides. Okay, I think we're almost to the end here. There's different bee species. There's Caucasian, German, Italian, Russian, Africanized, and while our, Caucasian, German, Italian, Russian ones are, well, actually the Caucasian, Italian ones are the most gentle. We get Italian. They're gentle, but they're the most productive out of the gentle ones. So German bees are considered, and this is just where they're from. Okay, this is just where they're from. German bees tend to be more aggressive. Africanized bees also tend to be aggressive. We do have Africanized bees here in Texas, and so this is why I don't let my hives raise their own queens, because Africanized bees are very aggressive. The good thing about German and Africanized bees are that this aggression actually makes them better at defending their hive. They are also more resistant to disease, and they are also the best honey producers out of all of them. So you will find beekeepers in Central Texas that only want Africanized bees because they are like super honey producers, and you don't have to worry about them dying as easily. But for our purposes, we just want really, really gentle ones. A couple of my hives, I think they're Italian, but they have a little bit of the Africanized genetics in them, just a little bit. I think they're a little feisty, a little too feisty, so I definitely have to wear a suit every time I go out there. But they're definitely not aggressive, and they would only attack. I don't even want to say the word attack, but they only try to defend themselves if they're like really provoked. Africanized bees don't have to be provoked to attack. You could just be like walking by something and not even messing with them, and they would attack. You don't hear that about that very often, though. Just especially on our campus, we're not going to hear that. So when we go out to the hives, we need to make sure that all of our suit openings are shut. If you feel panic, you just walk away. They will follow you. Please don't swat at them or try to kill them. That just makes it worse, and that makes me like super sad when students try to kill the bees. And then you just take a deep breath. I've never had anyone like panic or anything, but you can just walk away. If you get stung, you walk away calmly. Don't pinch at it. If there's a bunch of bees still on you, I would not remove the suit. But if there's only 1 or 2 bees around you, you can remove the suit. Like I had said before, no student has ever gotten stung. And then right before we go out to the hives, I'll just talk about allergic reactions. And that's about it. So I think my first and third period, you guys still need to go out to the hives next week. 6th and 7th period, by the time they watch this, they're actually switching their class period. So what they do on Friday is what you will do next week, and then what you do, yeah, and then they'll do this later. Anyways, so 1st and 3rd period will go out next week. All right, that's all I have to share with you about beekeeping. Just make sure that you're keeping a good pace on the project and that the work has been divided up. We do have 3 ecology chapters from the AP Biology textbook that we will cover next time I see you. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.